Hello and welcome to the Confusion Wrestling Podcast, the last bastion of independent wrestling. And what should we talk about this week? Well, I guess the first thing we need to discuss is that R-Truth's back with WWE. Ron Killings is debuting for the WWE. After a lot of online backlash, Truth has come back to the WWE. Good on him. Good on TKO/WWE for listening, I guess. Still not planning on watching it, but, good on Truth to get that bag, because allegedly he got himself a brand new contract out of the deal, got re-signed. Can't complain about that too much. Otherwise, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot going on in the news this week. The terrible people are still terrible. The good people are probably still terrible too. We just don't know about it yet. So that being said, let's talk about our guest. Got a guest this week. One Muffins Martinez. He is kind of like the figurehead of the Urban Wrestling Network. The Urban Wrestling Network was kind of one of the first podcast groups to kind of reach out to me in my more fledgling days of doing this here podcast of a handful of years ago, and brought me into the group as a contributing member. Still get to hang out with them when MLW gets to do whatever MLW does. They're once a month, twice a month things. We the guys get together and do a watch along over at the Urban Wrestling Network YouTube page. So brought Muffins on because lifelong wrestling fan, podcaster's been doing this for nearly 10 years now, and just interesting life story because he's come from Puerto Rico as a wrestling fan and has continued this love to the current age. So got a chance to sit down and kind of talk to Muffins in a way that I've not actually had the opportunity to sit down and talk to him, so I think is a very interesting conversation. I talked a lot about wrestling and probably not enough about the Urban Wrestling Network, but of course I'll throw the links in the descriptor of the episode. So let's go ahead and just get ourselves an energy drink. Let's get ourselves a coffee, maybe a coffee machine, and let's just chat it up with Muffins Martinez. Hey folks, MLW Confusion's become a veritable hub of shopping and treats and all that sort of good stuff. Whether you need a sugar-free alternative to energy drinks in the form of Raise Energy, or maybe even, top-of-the-line ice makers, coffee machines, and other household appliances, or, well, let's go crazy, and you can even get WWE licensed apparel all through my links section. All you got to do is wander down to the descriptor of this week's episode, check out the various links, click on them, and go shopping like you normally would. Heck, it's no difference. You just came in and just said Rob sent you. And that way, you can get the things you need, maybe even at a discount, and the podcast gets a kickback as well. So be sure to check out those links. Thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, Confusion Wrestling Podcast. This week, we are giving back to the wrestling podcast community and giving a spotlight to one of my dear friends in wrestling podcasting, and one of the first guys to kind of give me a chance in a group thing when I'm just not in the corner over by myself, just rattling on coherently. But I have the voice, the face, the brain behind the Urban Wrestling Network. He is Muffins Martinez, the Continental Delight. Oh. Muffins, how you doing today? Haven't you missed those old intros?
Oh my God, dude! You said the brain, the voice. Oh, nobody wants to see my voice or my face. I'll tell you that right now. Bring the resolution down, please.
You should have in the video you got the light behind you, so if you would just turn if it was maybe sunnier behind you, maybe we got away without seeing you, but yes. I don't know, I'm due for a trim, so none of us are what the kids call a snack nowadays, I guess.
Yes, I'm an expired snack.
There we go. I'm just one falling apart. I think I'm moldy. But before we talk about the Urban Wrestling Network and 10 pounds a pod and all the other names we've gone by, I always ask the ever original question of all my guests, how did you get into professional wrestling? What started your fandom?
Oh man, dude, I'm not even gonna lie. Back late 70s in Puerto Rico, man, My grandfather, humongous wrestling fan. I'm like probably like 5 or 6 years old. I'm running around the house trying to break things with my brother or whatever. Wrestling is on. He like calls me over. Come on, vente, vente. Let's sit and watch wrestling. And I'm like, no. So then they see guys talking and kind of got excited when I saw Carlitos or Carlos Colon, the father of Carlito Colon right now.
That youngster, Carlos
The
Colon.
youngster, yeah, Carlos Colon at that time, he was, I want to say, late 20s, early 30s. He's talking, and then I saw a gold-haired man on that spoke English, who turned out to be later on, when I found out when I moved to the States, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. So that's how I got into it, man. And I remember one of the matches they had, Carlos against Abdullah the Butcher, and it was one of the bloodiest things I ever seen in my life. At that age, I'm crying, like Carlos is getting killed. Like Carlos is getting killed. Like, why are they killing Carlos? I'm like going throwing stuff on the TV, like, no, don't kill Carlos. No, no lo maten, por favor, no. So that was my introduction to wrestling by like late 70s in Puerto Rico, man.
And that was just a Wednesday for Carlos. That wasn't even a big show. That was just him having fun with Abby.
And that was the weekly shows that they used to have on Saturdays and the afternoons. And that was my grandfather, boy. He was glued to that TV every time either the horse racing, baseball, or wrestling came on. He was right in front of the black and white TV there. And you could still see blood in black and white. You could still tell that's blood. That's not water. That's blood. So imagine when we got the first color TV in, like, I want to say 79. I remember. What was the year that John Lennon got shot?
That was December of '80.
Okay, so around there we got the first color TV, because I remember seeing the interview when they stopped everything in Puerto Rico and they were talking about John Lennon. So I remember getting that first color TV and everything. Oh my God, everything's in color. Now we could watch real, now you could see the blood now for real. So yeah, so 1980 was the first time I saw color. I thought I was going blind my whole life. I said, oh my God, I only see in black and white now. What the hell's going on here?
And then watching old WWC.
Yes.
World Wrestling Council, like you got a lot of what now what we call in the wrestling biz color, because they were bloodthirsty over there.
Oh, dude, everything was blood. Bruce Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, Invader One. Yeah, my nephew. Yeah, always comes and gives me a hug when he shows up. So yeah, Invader, Bruce Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, Ric Flair was national champion NWA, so he used to travel. He'll go to Puerto Rico. Gonzalez, Shane, the glamour boy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he just retired. They just had a retirement show for him last year. So he retired from wrestling altogether. That dude is a god in Puerto Rico. He was like the first American that I remember that was humongously over in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, because him and Val Venus were based over there for a bit. I can't remember if that was before or after Val's stint in was it CMLL that he was champion?
No, in Puerto Rico.
Well, Val wrestled in Mexico for a bit too as Steel.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah,
I don't know about him in Mexico, but I remember him in Puerto Rico. But everything he was Shane the Glamour Boy.
Yeah, the glamour, Canadian glamour boy is Shane and Sean. Because I think he's still.
Yes, and they were huge in Puerto Rico in those days. And like I said, he just retired last year, so they had a humongous, thing for him down. I don't remember where, but this place was sold out, packed to the top, to see him one last time, man. But it was, it was great. And then coming to the States, and then seeing everything else, WWE. A world-class championship wrestling down from Texas, NWA, and you go, oh wow, there's more wrestling than just one, that you see in Puerto Rico now. Now your eyes open up and the world is there. And now ESPN comes out in '84 or whatever, and then they started showing wrestling from Texas. Oh God! Then I found TBS and NWA, and then I'm finding wrestling here and there, and that was like a wormhole that just opened in my mind, and I was going after that, man. Magazines, TV shows, everything. I was into wrestling like 24/7.
And you weren't at the time where you could have it 24/7, unlike now. But
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunately, the latest thing was like around 2 in the morning or one till 2, and when 2 o'clock came, they give you that boop, and they did the
it was
national
done.
anthem, and the TV went off, and well, there's nothing else to do. Time to go to sleep because it's 2 in the morning, and there's nothing else on the TV because the TV actually just shut off for the night to tomorrow. So yeah, so I'm from that era where
Uh,
at 2 in the morning that was it. There's nothing because there's nothing on TV. The station went off till the next day, and and then culture shock when you come into the states and there's 24/7 channels and you're like, oh my god, I
and
can
I mean, and that's
see it later.
relatively. I mean, it's relatively recent. I say I know, like I'm. I say relatively recent that I'm going to be like 20 years ago,
Yeah,
because I remember like coming home from like seeing my girlfriend in high school, and like I would push curfew to the last minute, so like I'd be walking in the door at 11:59,
okay.
and I had to behave because mom was an insomniac, so she there's a good chance she would either A, be up, or B, sleeping on the couch
Yes.
because that's just when she passed
So
out.
the TV was watching her.
Yeah, but like sometimes but it's like I just had to be home because that was law, but like she didn't make me go to bed, and so I was like we would just catch up on the day or whatever. But like, wow, once in a blue moon, like we would catch like at 1 a.m. like some random WW I guess it's still WWF show at the
Yes.
time, and like once in a blue moon something from WCW as well. One of the we call them the C tier shows.
Yes.
But on the flip side, like you kind of came up in like the last golden age of professional wrestling, as
Oh
the
god,
territories
yes.
were like around the time, especially like you brought up World Class. World Class got like obscenely hot, like
Yes.
close to around that
And
time.
yeah, and then I want to say it was like in the 80s when everything started dying down, like world class temples for wrestling got closed, and then ECW popped up, and then TNA popped up, Ring of Honor popped up because I remember Ring of Honor TNA popped up like around the same year, but like what 2 or 3 months apart from each other
Yeah, something
or
like that.
something like that. And ECW, I used to catch it when I would get home from the club and I'd be buzzed out of my mind trying to eat my Dunkin' Donuts, egg and cheese on a plate croissant, and there's Paulie Dangerously or what was the other Joey Styles, and the camera's just busting. I'm like, oh god, I must be drunk or this guy moving around. It must be me or what, but that was the way they did it. And I'm thinking to, oh guys, like 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm watching ECW because that's how I found out ECW was around 2:33 in the morning on a Saturday, going on Sunday, getting home from the club. When in my early 20s, I'm like, oh shit, new
Yeah,
wrestling.
like I said, and yeah, because you were based kind of out of their broadcast area, so
Yes,
you got like real ECW. Like I didn't get to
yes,
watch it outside of tape trading until they went to TNN because we didn't get hardcore television around the cornfields, but we
yeah.
got TNN.
This is New York, and then I live in Rochester, which is 5 to 6 hours. So whatever they were giving there, we'll catch here, whether it was live or a lot of times, taped, broadcast later. So we used to catch it around 3 in the mornings, and then I will stay up late just on purpose just to catch the episode. If I didn't go out, stay home, I said, well, I gotta stay up late because I gotta watch what happens on ECW. Can't miss the new episode now that I know what it is. So
Which I find hilarious that you talk about how ECW's can't miss, because in our conversations over the last a couple of years, you've not been very kind to ECW in retrospect.
no. I love ECW back then when it was alive. I just dislike how a lot of companies are still trying to keep it alive using the same guys who can barely do anything, are out of shape, out of their lives already, and you kind of go like, dude, it was fine, 20 years ago. But now you're using the same guys. Like the only two guys that you can use nowadays is Rhino and RVD that still look like they can still go. But you still want to go and get just Incredible and or Sandman, Sabu, rest in peace because he just passed away. But some of these guys were, you're like, wow, they're
Yeah.
nothing to what they were 20, 30
Oh yeah.
years ago. And you're like, oh Lord.
Oh yeah. I mean, Father Time is undefeated.
Yes.
Like I think like the only one that can go like they used to, because even RVD is slowed down quite a bit. But yeah, you brought up Rhino and
All the flips that he does. I mean, I hope he
yeah.
slows down.
Yeah. I mean, he still does surprisingly well. I got to see him in Peoria for, I believe it was a Ring of Honor taping, but it was before AEW taping. And he was still doing his stuff, just a couple steps slower though. It was neat. But yeah, Rhino he's just gotten thicker. Like that's the only difference Rhino has. Then I'll throw out a name there, but a lot of people don't think of him as an ECW guy. But Devon Storm, Crowbar. Like is still like working a really high rate.
Yes, and the thing is, I think of it more when he went to WCW than ECW, which I don't know if it makes sense or not.
Oh no, totally.
I don't remember him in ECW like that long, but I remember him in WCW like easy, especially when he was teaming with Daphne.
Yeah, he spent like maybe in ECW. Because I had him on the show last year and a half ago, and and I'll pull back the curtain on some of the podcasting stuff, but like one of his stipulations of hopping on the show is he really didn't want to talk about WCW at all, because every podcast under the sun wanted to talk about David Flair, talk about Daphne, talk about title, talk about Terry Funk, and he's like, I've had a 30-year career. There is more to my life than 2 years in WCW. And so he's just like, can we not talk about that? I'm like, sweet. Like, do you have it? And I'm like, I'll talk about whatever we want. Do you have some recommendations? I mean, you've been wrestling 30 years. I'll find something to talk about. He's like, we don't talk about ECW very much. I'm like, sweet. We'll talk. I'll try to pull up what I can on your ECW career, and we'll make sure we talk about that as well. So we did.
How long did he stay there? How long was he there for?
He was there less than a year, like maybe like 3/4 of a year, and he really didn't.
I remember him in ACW.
Yeah, and he didn't do a whole lot. He was kind of like on a third tier jobbing stable. Like the only thing that really I want to say was he had like one like banger of a match with Sabu, and that's what got him into ECW. But like after that, he kind of like feuded. I want to say with like Hack Myers, but we can go back and correct myself later on that. But yeah, he was as pre-Crowbar, Dangerous Devon Storm, and part of still technically part of the Extreme with Ace Starling.
Yes, and I just saw him too doing an interview because he's wrestling somewhere, and I can't remember now the name of the company where he's located with or he does stuff from. But he looks good, and he's still going out there and putting some decent matches.
Yeah, so. I mean, his thing right now is like he'll say like he's still hardcore, but he knows how to hardcore safely. And so all like the crazy like bumps we would say are crazy. He's like, no bump is a good bump, but these bumps are actually surprisingly safe and easy on the body. Which I mean, he would know. He's a physical therapist in his off hours, which is probably one of the reasons why he's still going at the level.
Yeah, probably. He knows what he has to do to get his body into that mode for those 20 minutes and go from there. And they make an appointment with another therapist. Like I just go right here, this shoulder right here.
Blows my mind when I see there's medical professionals that are wrestlers. And I'm like, you guys should be the first ones to know that this is not good for you. Like no. I'm 40 and out of shape, and I can tell you this is not good for you. I don't even know how the body works.
I'm 52 and I used to be in shape. I'm like one of those ECW washed up guys now. I am nowhere near what I looked 20 years ago for sure. Shit, I don't know anything I looked 2 years ago. I'll tell you that right now. Maybe last
Oh,
month, not even. So,
but we covered ECW. Brought up Flair, and I know you're a big NWA mark, even back in the day, and even like currently. Like besides Flair, like what did did anybody catch your eye?
oh no, the whole well, like I said, when coming from Puerto Rico, coming to the States late '82, early '83, we got our first TV because we were kids. You go outside and you play. It's the winter time, so everything is home. You do things. This is before anything cool was out, so you make your own fun or whatever. Cardboards, you play with cardboards for hours. There's so much shit you can do with a cardboard, boy. You go crazy with a cardboard. But and then found ESPN, then found TBS, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Lex Luger, Barry Windham, Road Warriors. I mean that whole thing, and then they expanded to UWF, Universal Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, Universal.
Yeah, and then that was like a whole thing because then I found the Freebirds, Big Bubba Rogers, General Skandak Arbar with his army, the one man gang, all that kind of stuff. So seeing and now a culture shock going from being Puerto Rican in Puerto Rico, everything's Spanish. Oh, and then you have what you call the foreigners coming down there. They speak English. Oh my God, it's a whole different language. Then they translate. Oh my God, you could translate. Wow. Okay, cool. And then you come here and your world just explodes with so much different possibilities and endless, and I'm that time, 83, I'm what, 72, 11, going on 12. So now you give me my freedom and I have TV for myself and I'm going up and down the channels, finding things, it's like a whole different world just opens up. And now you seeing the powers of pain go against the World Warriors, the Midnight Express against the Rock on Express in a scaffold match, and all these kind of things. And you're like, oh my God, just wow. And that was before I found out about WWE or F at that time. Once I found out WWE F, that was a whole different world opened up. Hogan, Macho Man, Jake Roberts, Ricky Steamboat at that time he was there. The Can-Am connection. Um, my tag team was the Young Stallions at that point. Well, I love the Young Stallions, even though they were like mid jobbers and they will push them and then let's push them again. But that I was always rooting for like the mid jobbers. Like I like these guys. Why can't they get pushed? And I don't know anything. I'm still thinking blood is real. People are getting hit for real. Oh my God, that chair. Oh, he's knocked out. So and then life took over when the Magnum TA accident happened. And then you start kind of going like, wow, these guys can actually get hurt. That was like my first tragedy, thing, culture shock to me because I had just moved before the Bruce Brody accident when he got killed in Puerto Rico. So I didn't know much about it here. But the Magnum TA thing was like my first real catastrophe. Like, oh my God, these guys can actually get hurt. Their lives are on the line. I hear what happens outside. I don't know anything about what they do outside the ring. I'm thinking that they're just like, this is a TV show. Everything's written like soap opera before you start finding out more stuff later on as you keep growing up. So that was my whole life, man, was this. And then seeing Jim Cornette getting busted open by Paulie Dangerous in '88. Oh my God, dude, that was like I was shocked. I called my best friend at that time, like, dude, did you just saw Jim Cornette get killed on TV and they killed him? Then he just got busted open. He's bleeding everywhere. There's blood on this white jacket. There's blood everywhere, man. I don't know how he's gonna make it. Stuff like that. So that was my childhood was awesome when it came to wrestling. This kid's childhood now, nowadays, everything is social media, with machines, internet, or whatever, everything. But my childhood was awesome, bro. Because like I said, my childhood was all about wrestling. I have met friends that love wrestling. We wrestled. We made our own, like every other kid. You wrestle, you do things, you make your titles, you make your own stuff. You have your watch-alongs. I remember when WrestleMania came out, I had them come over to the house. I'm begging my parents, please, please, use my allowance, $40, please, WrestleMania, please. And then from there, it's just WrestleMania, Starcade, whatever big show was going on. I was either coming to their houses or they're coming to my house. Everybody chipped in $5, $10 for the show. Like I could get it, but I have to pay them back. So if everybody could bring a couple of dollars, that'd be cool. So everybody would chip in. I will make like $20. I will put extra money here, man. And you had to beg for that, man. So that was my
I hear
childhood.
that.
That was my childhood.
I never got to watch pay-per-views live, like ever. I had a family friend who recorded every pay-per-view, and
Oh wow!
like once, like 3 or 4 months, like we would like visit, and he'd let me borrow like 6 tapes or whatever. So
No,
that's how I
you
got
said you're 40, right? You're 40 now.
41 technically. It's easier
41.
to
Okay.
round down.
So then I'm 11 to 12 years older than you. So when the first WrestleMania came out, you wasn't even born yet, I don't think. So
I was, but I was like 6 months old.
okay. So then you have to like 12 years to catch up on everything else, though.
Oh yeah. And I watched wrestling my entire life. I didn't become cognizant until maybe like 6 or 7. Like that's when it hit me. They're like, oh, I could pay. Like I had the attention span to pay attention to it and know what was going on. Even though like earliest memories is like laying on my dad's chest, like watching primetime wrestling, it'd be WWF.
And that time, my favorite wrestler was Tully Blanchard. This is before the Horseman. So just imagine my shock, surprise when he comes out to confront Magnum TA after the accident, and he has that baseball bat, and then Dusty Rhodes comes out and beats the shit out of Tully Blanchard with a bat. Dude, that right there, that was like traumatic. Like, what the hell is going on? The owner of or the president of NWA gets knocked out. What was his name? Because he was the Demon Crockett, the senior. He trying to get Dusty Rhodes to hold the bat, and Dusty comes back and knocks him out with the back of the bat and hits him right in the face. I'm like, oh my God, he just hit the president of the NWA. He's gonna get suspended. I'm still thinking all this stuff is real, bro. I'm not even lying to you. I'm invested like 1,000%. Like my lifeline is on this. I'm thinking he's gonna get suspended. Tony's going to the hospital. Crockett's going to the hospital because he has a concussion. Poor Magnum TA, he can barely walk and he's stuck in this. So these people, it's a mess. Where's my phone? I need to call my friend. Dude, are you watching what happened? Why didn't you come over? Like, I can't cope right now. I need someone to talk to, man. Talk to me, please. Tony's gone. He's gonna get suspended. I won't see Tony for a while. Dude, I'm like a whole mess, bro. I'm not even lying to you, bro. I'm like a whole complete mess. Seeing this whole thing like unfold in front of my face. But the big one was with Jim Cornette. That was the one that I basically flaked out, man. And then later on, the bubble got popped out of my dream. Everything is fake. Everything that's just blood packets. They're cutting themselves. All this stuff is scripted. Oh, dude, they just blew my dream world up. Like they literally just destroyed my whole childhood in one story, telling me how all this stuff was fake, this kind of stuff. I was like, oh God, my whole life is a lie. It's been a lie. Kramer, it's been a lie, Cameron. It's been a lie, bro.
The Santa Claus and wrestling are the two things.
Oh, dude, don't even get me on Santa Claus, bro. That was a whole
I,
different thing. Let's go.
I know. My mom had with because I was traumatized by Jake the Snake sticking
Mm,
his cobra on the Macho
yes,
Man, and like
yes,
I. So mom had to explain to me how like that's where she finally like drew the line and said like, hey, like what they do like hurts, but it's like they planned it. It's just like a regular TV show that you watch. Like it's like watching your cartoons, except they're real people playing these parts. And then little did I know that like in this situation, like oh, the snake really did bite him. Like that, none of that was special effects. That was all
yes,
just
yes,
that was all just
yes.
de-venomed cobra.
And that's when you go and say, "Good." So if you say this is fake, explain that to me. How is this snake just biting the grown man in the arm on live television? Go, now that's not fake. That's not a cable or a fake cobra. That's real. And how come he put the snake down or inside the mouth of the Dragon Steamboat? That's not a lie. That's real. That's not AI. You got that. You gotta admit that's how. Explain that one to me then too, Mom. Explain that one to me. So
But
yeah.
yeah, I think she knew like how traumatized I was, so she needed to like let me know that everybody's friends. Like,
Oh yes, yes,
and
yes.
this wasn't like a full on attempted homicide.
Yes.
uh,
And that was the other thing, finding out that they were actually friends outside of the show was like, wow, how can you be friends? Like, hold on, you're a good guy, that's a bad guy. You can't be friends with that. So yeah, which is a good thing that I think we should teach kids nowadays. Okay, this is fake, this is entertainment. They are friends. Or they may not be friends, but they still like each other enough to work. So you have to understand that yes, this is entertainment. They do get hurt, but let's just
yeah,
just
yeah.
know that they are friends after this.
Yeah, and I think like a soapboxing thing. Like, I think it's actually like an important thing, like a talk to have with your kids if you're a wrestling
Yes.
fan, because like as they say, like before, like every WWE show, don't try this at home. Well, like yes, kids are stupid.
Oh, we tried everything at home.
Yeah, but if you have this talk with your kids, they might be less likely to try some of the more stupider things that they
Yeah,
see in wrestling.
not jump on top of the roof
Yeah,
downside to a table. No, no, don't do it.
yeah, like if you explain to them like this is a show and that they're specifically trained to do this in a way, you know, I think some of the injuries from backyard wrestling may be averted. I mean, there's always going to be those idiots who want to do stupid stuff. I mean, let's face it, the wrestlers are just some of them are just grown idiots that
Yeah.
and do stupid stuff. And we start looking at like some of the high jumps and deathmatch
Yes.
stuff that we see or whatever. But that's a whole other tirade. But we were about I don't know, we're about half hour in. We've kind of like thoroughly like okay, no, I gotta ask a stupid question before we jump into the podcasting realm of it. But like being English as second language, how hard was it to understand Dusty Rhodes?
Well, I mean, I couldn't understand anybody at first, coming 82, but I've made the effort to learn the language as fast as possible. So I was by, I think, in 3 months in, I think I was already holding like little mini conversations with people. So, in the fifth grade at that time. So, and then once you become more better at the language, Dusty Rose was still hard to understand. And you kind of going like, wow, like, dude, thank God we still had, you still have that ESP channel on the TV that you hit the button and you see the closed caption things come out, and you kind of like, oh, okay, I see what he's saying now. Oh, bull of the wood, okay, bull of the woods. Oh, daddy, okay. Funky like a monkey. Okay, oh, I got it now. Funky like a monkey. Okay, I got it. I got it, Dusty. I got it. I got it.
I just think because I mean, like, don't get me wrong, English is kind of a weird, horrible language to begin with, and then you have guys like Dusty Rhodes who speak fast and uses a lot of symbolism in his
Yes.
talks, in addition to having his famous lisp. I just think like,
Yeah.
man, being English second language, like that has to be like master's level English study, right there.
Yeah, I mean,
to,
like,
to figure out what Dusty's talking about to begin
yeah,
with.
once you get the language down, you're good to go. I mean, I remember first couple of years after learning, I had my accent was worse, so a lot of times it was hard for people to understand what I was saying because half of the times I spoke fast and a lot of weird like beach is the beach, there's stuff like that, vulnerable, a lot of the V words. I'm horrible with pronouncing the V words, so it was bad
But
at times. So
But yeah, I just had to ask that because Dream had his own way of talking. So it's one of those things, like one of those rare things, like we've never brought up in our times together.
yo,
together.
him and the Iron Sheik.
Oh, Shiki baby.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, the Sheik. I
I,
think the Sheik was hard to very understand, except when he talked to Hogan, because that dude to the he died, right? Iron Sheik.
yeah. He's been gone for
Yeah.
like
So to
a
this
handful of years
day,
now.
I'm pretty sure from the grave he's still cursing out Hogan because
Yeah.
that man really hated Hogan.
I love like watching, like seeing him at like conventions, and he would just be in his little like hover around, and he would just like greet people and be like, God bless you, fuck Hulk Hogan. And that's how he'd greet people. Like, this wasn't even a meet and greet. He was just going down the aisle. Hello, thank you. Oh, God bless you, fuck Hulk Hogan. Like, that was just like, that's just how you greeted people, evidently. It was just...
Hulk Hogan, Jesus.
But yeah, you were one of the many wrestling fans who parlayed their love of professional wrestling into the realm of podcasting. Like, how did you like decide to go like, I'm going to do a podcast?
Nope. Never wanted to do it. I never thought about it. It was always Chef, the homie Chef. Chef Rob K.
Yep.
Rob Chef.
Rob Chef.
Yep. Chef, my tag team partner, Urban Wrestling Network. He was the one. Thank God. I will say this: social media. I dislike a lot of social media stuff, but a lot of the pros is meeting people of your same things that you like. So I met you through there, I believe through Rob, and I met Rob on Twitter because TNA fans or whatever. So always talk to Rob since like 2015 on Twitter. I got to meet him when I went down to Florida anniversary 2017. That was the first time I met Rob, and that whole week we spent up and down Florida and going to the TNA shows. And then later on, he just kept bugging me. Yo, dude, we got to do a podcast. We should do a podcast. We're Latinos, we're Puerto Ricans. There's nothing out there. I said, dude, I don't. One, I hear my voice. Two, my voice sounds horrible when you record it because I hear it on the phone when I talk, and it's horrible. 2, 3, I have an accent. 4, I love wrestling, but I am not that crazy like some folks are buying Funko Pops, belts, and stuff like that. I draw the line of my fandom. I don't buy no other stuff. I buy T-shirts, 8x10s, and that's as far as I go with purchasing wrestling and my love for wrestling. But he kept bugging me. Then this other kid, his also name is Rob. He was doing a TNA show podcast, and he's been doing that one from 2015, 2017, and he was always doing like chart graphs and all this stuff, like why their TV thing is down. I mean, this dude was into it, and from Puerto Rico, so he was doing the same thing. Like, yo, you, me, and Rob should do a podcast. With 3 Puerto Ricans. It's way different. We all love TNA. We love wrestling. Dude, between both of them, I say, something, screw it. I'll join. You guys, I'm down. And then that was from there. So you got 3 Puerto Ricans, one in Puerto Rico, one in New York or upstate New York, and then one in Florida. And since 2017 till now is podcast. And then the kid Rob from Puerto Rico, he's in the army in Puerto Rico. So he did that on when he was off, and then he will always go back. Oh, they call me again. I have to go in. So every hurricanes in Puerto Rico, he'll be gone for weeks.
Oh.
Because in Puerto Rico, when you get a hurricane in Puerto Rico, boy, it's like a catastrophe 3 or something like that. So he's out there helping, people doing the stuff with the energy, all that kind of shit. So there'll be weeks, months before he'll be back to join us again. So after, I want to say, when TNA got moved from, what was the original channel that they were in that they messed up and they left?
I think
Spike,
yeah,
right?
it's Spike. Yeah,
Spike. So then they got moved to Pop. Was it like they went to Pop channel?
I think. Don't hold me to it, because I was never a big TNA guy, because it was really hard. So when they weren't on Spike, it was really hard to find them.
Exactly. So I think they had either gone to Pop or Destination America for a year, and then they went to the next one, either Pop or Destination America. I think it was Destination America and then Pop. And then he finally gave up on it. I said, I can't do this anymore with them, because now they're jumping from different places, and you could never find Destination America in Puerto Rico. You couldn't find Pop here in upstate. So I missed the whole time they were in Pop. Destination America, I never got to see it because I never had the channel. So I missed the whole time that they were there. So he finally gave up on TNA. So then me and Chef kept going until COVID hit. And then when they were coming back, they were doing just the dumb shit. And then Tessa Blanchard held the belt, and they gave her the belt, and then she had the belt hostage when she went to Mexico. And then I said, something, I'm done with TNA. I'm done with TNA and this damn nonsense. So I started watching TNA. And then Chef dropped out too out of TNA, and then we just went talking about wrestling until we found MLW. And the way how things are going now with MLW, who knows where we're gonna jump next?
Yeah, because I know you're doing. You guys have been doing. We'll call it generic recaps. So I mean, not to say what what you do is not cool, but you're just kind of covering news of the week, whatever's going on, and then in addition, like Chef's bringing in the bare knuckle stuff as well too.
So I go and I scour through everything of any commotion that I could find, and goodness God, I follow every single promotion you could think of on social media. So I go, and if they have some kind of show, I try to watch it, see what's going on, and that's when I give my little news that we give. Oh, this happened here. This happened here. Old Caribbean wrestling. That's how I found out about it. This is happening there with Mike Henry and stuff like that. So right now I scour the news. Sometimes it'll be a week. Sometimes it'll be 2 weeks before we bring something out because ain't nothing going on. Because everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's either WWE, AEW, or TNA. So you got barely people who watch NWA or MLW, if you can find it, with the monthly shows that they do now. And then there's other stuff out there, now CMLL, AAA, you have Japan, so there's other places out there, but a lot of folks just stay in the same thing and they just don't want to expand outside of what their comfort zone is. Well, I'm a WWE Universe person. Nothing else exists. Well, I'm an AEW guy from the last 5-6 years. This is where the wrestling is at. Well, TNA is coming up now. This is better than anything else. We're number 2. And you see the arguments on social media, especially on X. And I just sit there going, oh my God, I have a headache after 5 minutes. Like, dude, I can't be here. Like, just relax. It's wrestling. Just know these people do not give two rat's ass about you outside of that wrestling. They don't know you. They do not know who you are. They don't care about you. So relax.
Yeah, I've said for a long time the worst thing about professional wrestling is the fans, especially in this day and age of like with social media where you have like there I don't want that there's almost no consequence for your actions, at least in terms of shooting your mouth off, so you can say pretty much whatever you want and like ignore everything else, and there's nothing like there's no comeuppance for it.
100% correct.
But I don't know, like I think it was like just fascinating how like insular or how closed off wrestling fans are when, like, especially right now. Right now is probably the best time in the history of professional wrestling to be a fan of wrestling, because there's so much wrestling to be had. Whether like we finally have like competition, big two competition for the first time in 20 years with
Yes.
AEW and WWE. We can say what we want about TNA right now, but like TNA is still technically doing their thing, even if they're
Yeah.
being watched by WWE very closely. Ring of
But
Honor.
they've been doing their thing thanks to WWE.
Yeah.
And they're getting 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 fans now when they do their shows, and especially when they have their main shows. Now Slammiversary is coming up. I'm pretty sure that's going to be, I think, what, like 4,000, 5,000 seat venue.
Yeah, I think
That thing is going to get packed easily, and they haven't had anything like that since before Bishop and Hogan came over. I think maybe.
Yeah, probably the start of the Hogan Bischoff era is probably the last time they've had crowds that big.
And I'll be honest, I thought when they came over, Hogan is going to push TNA over the top. I was one of those guys that, oh my God, they brought a humongous big name. They brought Eric Bishop. They're going to push TNA to the next level. I just didn't know, the bullshit they were going to bring with them and the baggage, and how they were going to destroy the company basically before they left. They left it, almost on their deathbed per se. So, but I was one of those fans that humongously excited. I literally almost lost my mind when Hogan came over. I was like, wow, they finally got that one big name that they've been waiting for to push this over. They're going to do it now. They're going to do it now. And then.
I didn't see. I was in the cynic group that didn't think anything good was going to come of it, but I watched because I enjoy a good car wreck, and I wanted to see the car wreck in real time. And when watching Christopher Daniels lose his push in entirety to Val Venus, who hadn't been relevant in America for like 3 years prior.
Jesus. And then he became Curryman just to get to be relevant.
Though I love me some Curryman.
Yeah.
He's hot. He's spicy. He tastes great.
Yes.
Which I love those guys that like have like go to Japan and just have a drastically different gimmick that's barely acknowledged anywhere else.
Curryman was awesome. Suicide was awesome. I like Suicide. I like Curryman. So that whole thing with the superheroes when Eric Young became a superhero, that shit was funny too. Stuff like that I appreciate. It kind of gives you the laugh that you're looking for.
You can't be serious all the time.
I love serious wrestling, but give me some comedy snitch here and there, and I'll love it.
As I said, wrestling is a circus, and a good circus has a little bit of everything on it. Yes. Do you want, like, why have one show of the same thing over and over again when you can have like all the flavors put together? Yes. Like, yes, you may want to keep everything like in a certain, we'll call it a canon for us comic book fans. Like, you want a certain laws of the universe to take effect, but within those laws, like, go crazy with it. Like, do we need a Danhausen? Yes, we need a Danhausen. But yes, we also need a Brian Danielson out there who could also do Danhausen stuff too. But
yeah,
but nobody's Brian Danielson.
Yeah, I don't get him though. Danhausen.
I am a Fanhausen. I love Danhausen.
Yeah,
but
I don't get him, so yeah.
But he's not everyone's cup of tea. But yeah, so urban wrestling's been going on for, you said 17, so like 8 years now. Like you guys are still going strong, going most weeks.
And we started. It was called the Bodega Wrestling Podcast. Bodega meaning, we're Puerto Ricans, so we go to the bodega, meaning the corner store that's owned by a minority, a black guy, a Puerto Rican, or back then we didn't have no Indians here yet, or Pakistanians owning the corner stores. And I'm from Rochester. There's a corner store pretty much when you go into the city. There's a corner store pretty much in every corner of every street. So that's what we grew up with. And so we called it the Bodega Wrestling Podcast. And then after Rob left, because now he's as a matter of fact, I just spoke to him like 2 weeks ago because it was his birthday, and he's down somewhere still with the army because he's stationed there now for like a year. He still has a year left. So after he had left, I said, you know something, man, let's rebrand this. Let's be more serious. Everybody knows we're Puerto Ricans. Why do we have to keep saying that we are? I'm pretty sure by now that everybody knows that we're Puerto Ricans. You look at our faces, yeah, those Puerto Ricans. So I said, well, let's call us our urbans because we love all the urban wrestlers pretty much our favorite wrestlers. If you're a minority, we probably love you. So urban wrestling podcast. I said, yeah, that sounds better, sounds more professional. Came out with a new logo, stuff like that. And I think we've been like that now. I want to say now 3 to 4 years now on the Urban Wrestling Podcast.
Right.
I mean, Urban Wrestling Network. I'm already messing up.
Well, I mean, but even under the Urban Wrestling umbrella, you guys have done like sub pods and whatnot because you've had 10 pounds of gold, 10 pounds of pod.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
10 pounds of pod. Yeah, 10 pounds of. Oh my God, what's it called? 10 pounds of podcast.
Yeah, that's your podcast.
I forgot about the other show, and that was when NWA was getting hot before COVID.
Yeah.
But then after COVID, they came back, and what they're doing now, I was like, oh my God, they have Tyrus as the champion. Oh God, no. Like I lost. I'm like, I'm done with this. But then I keep coming back when people leave. I said, okay, now I can come back now. And now, thank goodness, they announced it yesterday that they have a new streaming service with Roku now.
Oh, I have not heard that yet. So at least
starting July 29th, so Tuesday at 8 p.m., there's going to be their first show. NWA Power is going to go back to Roku instead of being on X, where they're doing it now, Twitter.
Right.
They're going to start doing it July 29th, 8 o'clock on Tuesdays. And no, people already, oh my God, they're going to go up against NXT. And I'm like, no, they're not going to go up against NXT. NXT is in a whole different class. NWA is just starting to get back on their feet. This is their first real TV anything in almost 25 years. So they're going to baby steps. So I already said it. People said it. I'm like, no, they're not going up against NXT. No, NXT is a whole different monster. That's WWE Universe. I'll be happy NWA gets 10 eyes on them, but at least we know now where it's going to be. No more excuses. I can't find this, or I don't have X. You have Roku. Roku's a streaming service. It's free, just like Tubi. You go in there, do yourself an account, and that's it. You can go on Tubi. I got Tubi. I'll be watching
Tubi.
movies. I do. Thank you. I agree with you 1,000%. Tubi is one of the best things I've seen for people who are tired of paying $100 for cable or satellite. Get Tubi. Tubi has everything. They have movies, TV shows. They give you, they have commercials, but it's like here and then like 20 minutes later, it's another commercial for like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
so
it's usually not horrible. I can't speak for the movies because I usually don't watch too many movies.
Oh, they have a lot of good movies.
I gotta say, but I watch a lot of older TV, like shows that like I loved when I was younger that just like haven't had like a wide DVD, rating, distribution yet. But,
and they have wrestling, a lot of old wrestling, tapes or whatever. They look like they're tapes. Because they're like you hit it and like somebody just put in the.
I mean, I think they were legit like just tapes. I think they were like various. We'll call them best ofs.
Yes. It looks like you hit on the thing I want to view, and then somebody pushes the cassette right on the VHS, and you can see the at the beginning. Oh shit! It's a tape.
There's a company that like I'm trying to think of the company because like I have a couple of DVD sets that's how it starts. And
I'll be like, wow, this is actual tape that they put in here, dude. And I'll be catching on shit that I have never seen. I'm like, wow, this is cool. But Tubi, bro, Tubi is not shit to play with. Tubi is legit, and Roku does the same thing. If you buy a TV, it comes with the Roku service. It comes with Sling or it comes with Tubi. You just go in there, do your count, and you're good to go. And you're like, hey, I don't need cable because everything is streaming. You got Netflix, you got everything else, HBO Max.
Well, and I mean, the beauty of streaming is like you said, like, oh, it could go, they'll be going against NXT. Well, like, no, they're streaming. Like, you can just catch it in an hour, 2 hours, tomorrow. Yes. It's not like the olden days of cable where you had to pick a side. Like, yes, like right now you might have to like, I mean, I don't know how like NXT works with the CW, but like
the next day, the following day.
I was fixed it. So like, but like, if it streams, like you can just catch it tomorrow, and they're gonna make their money off of it either way because you
watch it. AEW, you can watch it that same night later on. Netflix with Raw. Oh, I miss Raw. You go to Netflix, you watch it. Pick it up where you left off. Now Tubi has evolved on Wednesday nights, so now Roku's gonna have NWA. So if you miss it at 8:00, you can go back later and watch it. Yeah. Right there, you don't have to go through no commercials. Just press play and boop, you go to go. So at least they're going to be watching. I'm happy for NWA.
No, they've stuck through. They've stuck through a lot, and like I haven't always been positive about their changes, but like they've stuck through it. I mean, and like let's be like, thing I don't talk about on this podcast, but like the Con was started out as an NWA podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it made it past the paywall stage. Like I guess because it started out behind a paywall back in mid 2019, and it was like I want to say it was Feel the Power, and I talked about NWA for a bit, and then I'm trying to think what specifically made me say like, oh, it was the Jim Cornette thing. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing with Jim Cornette's tirades. And so like, and so then I switched over to MLW, and then I think like the first 7 episodes were behind the paywall of Confusion, and then I found out like, oh, there's places that will host podcasts, and I don't have to worry about video too. Sweet. It's like sweet. There we go. Yes. But yeah, no, it's been like I'm not always the most positive about the NWA, but that doesn't stop me from talking to their talent because obviously, like I've had their television champion Big Mama on the show a couple months ago. That was a cursed interview. Not that she wasn't great, but like it took like we kept rescheduling on each other because bad things kept happening to each of us.
And I think I'm not even gonna lie. I think she defended that title maybe once.
I think so too.
She lost it to Tiffany Nieves, and then they lost the tag team belt actually, I shouldn't even say that because it hasn't aired yet. The tag team belts at their show there on and the Crockett Cup show down in ECW Arena. They lost their belt there. So whenever that's gonna show up, because there has already been a month and they still haven't shown that. They're still doing stuff from when they were at I want to say Birmingham in Alabama.
I mean, I just thought it'd been awesome for her to be to hold all of the gold. Like, did I think it was going to happen? Probably not. But like, I thought it'd been awesome just for Big Mama to come in, wreck everyone. Now she has all the belts.
Yeah, she would have turned on Kelsey Page, and then they go for the war, and she beats her. But yeah, so then she would have got all the belts. The Berg, the TV champion, and half of the tag team.
She said she would entertain the thought because ultimately the goal is always the world championship. But you know,
unfortunately, that's not going to happen now.
No, at least not in this format. We'll see how things go down the line. But yeah, no, they're kind of all over the place. And then I don't know, she's popped up on my feed a couple more times because I have IWTV, and it's like $10 a month, and there's so much independent wrestling from. So much. Like I just found out like a show I went to this past weekend is up already, and they're super small. Like they're almost like in terms of crowd size, they're like what people think of when you say mud show. Like, but the product is not mud show product. It's just they really only work towns with less than 1,000 people, so you're not going to draw
Oh wow, okay.
You're not going to draw 200 people when the population of the town you're in
It's
is less than 1,000.
Yeah.
You know, like we like this past weekend we drove to they did an outdoor show out in the middle of nowhere in Comanche, Iowa, which small town next to the river, and yeah, it was just an outdoor show at a bar, and actually because it was outdoor at a bar, it was even free admission. But yeah, still only drew, I mean, maybe 50 people or whatever. But the place was so small, like it still looked decent size at certain sides. Though things to bring your own chairs, Dawn and I just got to sit off by ourselves in the corner, like enough that like somebody had to like somebody from the show came over, like made sure we were enjoying ourselves, and I'm like, you didn't hear my big mouth? I think I'm doing fine.
Oh, I enjoy myself all right, sir. Thank you.
I feel insulted that you didn't hear me yell obscenities at people. Okay, I don't yell obscenities unless like a certain cowboy named the one called Manders is involved.
Yeah, your best friend.
Manders, I will break out the language that's not meant for children. But everybody else, everybody else, I'm tactful with my booze.
I just boo. That's what I do. I just boo.
I got a mouth, and then if Dawn has a drink, she's almost as bad as I am, which is horrifying, really.
I just boo just in case. Booing is good enough. You keep booing, I think they get more mad when you boo them than anything else.
So. Sit on your hands. But man, oh man, we are nearing in on the hour mark, and to be respectful on your time, we'll kind of like go ahead and wind things down. But everyone, be sure to check out the Urban Wrestling Network family of pods. So if you still have the other ones going on,
we still, Urban Wrestling Network. We're on YouTube. We are in all the streaming services. So Spotify, what's the other ones? iHeart, Pandora. So we're all on there. And then Chef does the BKFC, which is the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. He's like getting into that now. And they have the big show coming up next week called Ice Wars between United States and Canada.
Ooh.
And they get in the rink. Yeah, they get in the rink and they fight inside the ice. And
they're actually fighting on the ice. That's probably more dangerous than the actual bare knuckle.
They have a ref. They have a mini rink. They go out there in the ice and they just grab and they just be fighting like real fight on the regular NHL game. Except that's what they do. They're goons, real goons from real teams that have been retired and are now playing like in the minors and stuff like that. So you might know a lot of these names. I don't, because I don't follow hockey like that. But yeah, so this is what Chef is into now on his side there. I said, dude, knock yourself out, brother.
Oh, speaking of like the bare knuckle stuff, are you guys gonna get into the slap fight?
Because I have no idea about that, bro.
Because Dana White struck a deal with a bunch of wrestlers to do like wrestler versus.
I saw that.
And like they brought some like people with some name value. Like like the talent scout is Sin Bodhi, the former Kizarny in WWE. But I can't remember like who all, like Marty the Moth Martinez is one of them, which surprised me because I never thought of him as like a tough guy.
I saw some NWA people, Martina Markova, the Kid Idol, he was there. So there were Ziggy Dice was there.
Yeah, so, Ziggy's another one that surprised me because he's not like, he doesn't have a reputation of like a tough guy, really.
Well, dude, now this is going to be interesting. I'm trying to figure out when this is going to come out because I really want to sit there and watch this.
Like I'm morbidly curious because like some of those wrestlers, like you have to be tough to be a wrestler, but like there's people who are tough because they're wrestlers, and then there's the step above where you hear like the stories of them, you hear the stories of like Mang clearing out bars, or Harley Race, who's no slouch in a good bar fight, or Jim Duggan, but I don't equate Marty the Moth Martinez as like a guy that's, I mean, no offense, he'll probably win it just to spite me because I said this out loud, but like he's never been a guy that I'm like that's a tough dude right there.
I would have loved if that would have happened maybe like 40 years ago. And you would have had people like Bam Bam Gordy, Steve Williams, Stan Hansen, Bruce Brody, some of these big, big names like the big hogs, like that, getting into a slapbacks thing. Now that would have been awesome seeing those big guys getting slapping each other like that to see who actually was the strongest guy. What a big slap, because that's got to be interesting. And the only person that I've seen of any name worth recently has been Paige Van Sant, that she was in one of those competitions against some other chick. Boy, and they were smacking the bejesus out of each other, bro.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, it's easy to make fun of, but then you remember that, like, you have to stop and think that, like, if you pay attention to your mid-card wrestling, R-Truth knocked Ted DiBiase out with a slap in a worked match. Like, he just caught him just right upside the head with a slap. And you can, if you find the video of it, you can see, like, the exact moment Ted's lights go out. Like, his eyes are still open. He's still on his feet somehow. But, like, you just see him just, just like grain in the wind, man.
Now, do you know by any chance when that's going to happen or no?
I don't yet. I've only seen various talent announcements, but I haven't seen like a time or venue yet.
Hopefully it happens this year.
We'll see. I just figured to set Jefferson into the bare knuckle thing. Like, yes. He might have his fingers on the pulse of that too, but we'll find out. But everyone, be sure to check out the Urban Wrestling Network, Urban Wrestle NW at most places, especially on the Twitter box formerly known as X. Muffins.
So hit that subscribe button and follow us, please. We appreciate it. We just talk a lot of times. Our hosts here, Rock Cameron, we do our MLW once a month watch along party, which we didn't do this past Saturday because I think everybody forgot that it was on Saturday that night, because they had Worlds Collide followed by
it was a big wrestling weekend.
Yeah, it was like wrestling weekend that Saturday, so it was crazy that Saturday.
And I don't think I got home until like 10 o'clock from Zawa, because that was about an hour drive.
Yeah, Chef for Guy. I said, oh shit, I caught it afterwards. Like, oh, I forgot about this too. So yeah.
But Muffins, thank you for dropping by and dropping your 50 years of wisdom upon us and telling us a bit about your story. He's waving us off because how dare I try to compliment him?
I don't know anything. These are my stories. These are my stories, just like artists used to say. This is my stories, and I'm sticking with them.
The Confusion Wrestling Podcast is a weekly podcast that is written and performed by Rob Kammer and hosted by Spotify for podcasters. The background music for this section is Ruined by Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to help support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is helpful as well, because word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for us small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the description, but Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky are at The Nova of Cass. That's TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, please check out my virtual tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that's CASSONOVA, where for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, Chris Zach, and Elenia, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Also, be sure to check out the affiliate links in the description below. For business inquiries such as ads, sponsorships, and etc., please email rzkamer, Kamerer, at comcast.net. Thank you all for listening.